I entitled the message this morning, it says, after his resurrection. Jesus spent 40 days here on this earth after he was resurrected. Some people may wonder, Jesus was hanging on the cross, he said it was finished. But then he lingered 40 more days upon this earth. The reason for his lingering here, Jesus had made every effort possible to make his disciples to understand his mission here. They had been thrown off by rumors. They had been thrown off by bad teaching. They had been thrown off by other beliefs because they believed that when the Messiah came, that he would establish an all-powerful kingdom for Israel. He would establish a kingdom like Israel had never had seen before. And it would take the whole world. Little did they realize what they believed was true. But the method, the way, they thought he was coming as a conqueror for Israel alone. But he was coming as a conqueror for the entire world, for everyone who wanted to be saved, for everyone who wanted to be a part of his kingdom. So, if we can get to the text, we can look at it and see exactly what's going on. Matter of fact, Ms. Dia, she got it? It's Luke 24:43. She's going to read it.
43 and 44?
Yes, ma'am.
I have it.
They changed Robert's system. The pastor brought it from out of that room, out of this area here, and now he got to get used to what's going on all over again. But he will eventually.
What was the text again?
Luke, what was it, 20?
23.
Huh?
24.
Luke 24, 43 and 44. I placed 43 in there just because I wanted you to understand the time that this was taking place. It started talking about Jesus eating a piece of fish. And we all know that when Jesus did that, it was after his resurrection. He came back in a body that could eat. That's the kind of body Jesus raised, with a body. And he took it. He asked them for a little, did they have some food? And they said they had a little piece of fish. This is after his resurrection. And he took it, and he did eat before them. He wanted to know, we wanted them to know. There was all kind of rumors about, there's still all kind of rumors about the body, the type of body Christ would have, or the resurrection body you would have. We think that a lot of people advocate that we're going to have some kind of spiritual body moving all around. But Jesus wants to assure us that we'll have a body, again, resurrected body, just like we got now. One that can eat. Okay, well it says, and he said to them, these are the words which are spoken to you while I was with you, that all things must be fulfilled which were in the law of Moses, in the prophets, and in the Psalms. When Jesus was trying to show his disciples that his life that he lived had already been laid out in the scriptures. They should have known and they should have understood if they had been studying the scriptures. But like so often happens to people, rather than studying the word of God, we listen to people's mouth. They was listening to the scribes. And the scribes ascribed to the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And the difference between the Sadducees and the Pharisees, two powerful churches that existed during the day of Christ. The Pharisees, if the scribes wrote it, they believed it. But the Sadducees, they believed only part of what the scribes wrote. And the scribes was those who elaborated. You know, we got a lot of scribes today. We read from a lot of people today, don't we? And a lot of times we believe all the things they say. But we got to know the Word of God to know when they are in harmony with the Word of God, what they say. But they didn't look at that. They just listened. So Jesus now, after his resurrection, he was unable. You know, there was a scripture that we missed. Robert, is that the first scripture I gave you right there? Wow.
You jumped to Luke, that was the third and fourth.
Huh? There was another one.
This is the first one right up there.
Luke with.
Matthew 16:21.
Okay. From that time forth, that was our first scripture. There came a time in Jesus' life when he had to make known to the disciples that he was going to the cross. And when Jesus told them that, it said, from that time forth began Jesus to show to his disciples how that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and the chief priests and the scribes, and be killed and be raised again the third day. Then Peter stood up and said, Peter took him and began to rebuke him. He's going to rebuke the Lord. Huh? Peter began to rebuke him, saying, be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto you. Peter said, I can protect you. We won't let it happen to you. Peter did not understand that part of the Lord's mission here on earth was to die. Peter believed he could protect them from that. You remember the night they came to pick up Jesus? Peter tried his best, right? What did Peter do? He pulled a sword quick out from under his clothes and chopped the man's ear off. He thought Jesus was going to get away. But instead of Jesus going anywhere, what did Jesus do? He reached down and picked up the man's ear and put it back on the side of his head. Yes. But Jesus, after his resurrection, he was making another effort to make the disciples to understand his mission. So he went back in the scriptures to show them what the scriptures had said concerning himself. And I think one of the first scriptures that Jesus went to with his disciples. Now, keep in mind, there was three categories that Jesus pointed his disciples to. What was that? One of them was what? The law of God. Well, what was the law of God at that time? The first 5 books of Moses was considered to be the law of God. He showed them from the law of God. He had to go back there. And the next place he went to was where? The prophets, the minor prophecy, what the prophets said concerning his life here on this earth. And one more place he went. It was in the Psalms too. It was written. Those are the books that's what the Bible had consisted of during Jesus' day. Consists of the law, consists of the Psalms, and consists of the prophets. The gospel had not been written. So Jesus took them back. The first one I believe that Jesus took them to Anybody want to take a shot? Anybody know off their head what was the first text that Jesus may have taken them to? Well, the text is Genesis 3:16. Are we looking at it? Church, I'll tell you. 3:16. I carried this text in my head for years, trying to really come to understand it, because everybody said this text points to the coming of Jesus Christ. It's the first one in the Bible. It says, and it read, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed, and it shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, that's a text I wrestled with for a long time. I finally become to understand it. I think I began to take a look at the word enmity. Because that's what's between the two, isn't it? Huh? He put enmity between the two. What is enmity? If I ain't sure, y'all come up with a lot of different definitions. Somebody give me one.
Disagreement.
What?
Disagreement.
Oh, that's a good one. It's going to be all above some. Anybody else got one?
Hatred.
Now, that's the one I wanted. That's the one I want. You know, not that anybody else is wrong, because if you come up with strife, differences, whatever it was, they all would have been good answers. But what he placed there was pure hate. Now, hold on. This is a good one here. Where does the hatred come from? That's a good question, isn't it?
Holy Spirit. It must be the Holy Spirit.
Well, it can't come from God, because God is love. He that loveth not, knoweth not God, for God is love. If God is love, it can't come from God. Only one person left. Thank you, Robert. And he is full of hatred. The Bible says he come but to steal, to kill, and to destroy. That's all he's about. Hatred. And that hatred became in the midst between him and God. Got him kicked out of heaven. But he moved to earth and brought his fight to earth. And the fight is down here. And the text reads, I will put enmity between two of them. Now, let's see what the enmity did. One of them got their heel bruised, right? You see that? And the other got his what? His head bruised. Who do you think got their heel bruised? The Christians. And I tell you what, a heel bruise can be pretty rough. Anybody ever have a heel? Have you ever been hit on the heel? Yes. There's a funny bone there. That thing will really hit throughout your entire body if somebody hits you on your heel. And hurt. Now, that's what happened to the church. That's what the enemy did to the church. He smacked us on our heels. And we felt the pain. We're still feeling the pain. You know, they were saying that during the Dark Ages, and that's the time between 538 and 1798, that some 50 million Christians was put to death. He smacked the church very hard. They're saying that's only a drop in the bucket to what's going to take place in the future. But I'm telling you that this enemy took a head bruise from Jesus at the cross. Now, what can happen to a head bruise? If it's severe enough, what do you think will happen? Well, Christ has killed him. He may not be gone yet, but he's suffering death, Lord. That's the text right there. Enmity between thee and the woman. The woman is the church. But anyway, that's the text from the law. I wanted to say something else. For the sake of time, I was going to omit it, but I think I'm going to try to squeeze it in. I want to talk about, this may be the first text, the one that we were looking at, maybe the first text in the Bible that actually points our eyes to the coming of Jesus Christ. But there is an earlier indication. It's not a text. It's a clear indication. And I wanted to share that with you. When I was thinking about it this week, I said, Benjamin, maybe it will help them better to understand the mission of our Lord here on this earth. So what happened was, in the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve, after they sinned, what did they do? They hid themselves. And the Bible says they knew that they was naked and hid themselves. And they decided that they would cover themselves with what? Speak up. Fig leaves, yes, they covered them. They sewed, the Bible says they sewed fig leaves together and covered themselves, They was trying to cover up their shame from sin. But somebody tell me, why did they continue to hide if they had covered their sin? When God came to them, they were still hiding because of their sin. And God called them out. Then what did God do? He killed an animal. This probably was the first animal that they had ever seen died after seeing all the beautiful animals in the garden. And now they see one die because of their sins. And God took the skin off the animal and clothed them. Those fig leaves didn't do it. You know why? The Bible says, without the shedding of blood, there can be no remission of sin. That shed blood in the garden represented what? Jesus Christ. There was another statement made through that. When God took the skin and covered him, what is God saying then? After sin, you can no more cover yourself. Get all the fig leaves you want. After sin, the only way you can get covered, God said, is by me. I must do it. So God covered them and brought them from God. I have to praise the Lord. Someone else said. Anyway, I just wanted to show you from the law what Jesus was showing them, trying to get them to understand his mission. And the next thing, our text is up there already. She was asking me this morning what changes took place in my life this week, and I said I learned a little something that I've never learned before. As I was looking at this text right here, this is a prophecy that pointed to Jesus' life. Matter of fact, it pointed directly to the cross because this is where it took place at. When Jesus was placed on the cross, they ripped his clothes off. He was left naked. Shame. Isn't that shame? The man who came to save the world, and they're yelling and screaming, talking about, if you can save somebody, now save yourself. They took his clothes off. And guess what they was doing with his clothes? Gambling for them. And guess what the disciples was doing? They was looking at all that their Lord was going through. Can you imagine how they felt? with your Lord being humiliated like that. Their hearts was ripped and torn. If they could, they would have ran over there and get this throat, get your hand off him. But they feared that if they identified themselves with Christ, that they would suffer the same fate. You see, they had to let it take place. But it stuck in their minds. Jesus was pointing them to something that they wouldn't forget. They remember that experience. This is from the Psalms Jesus was showing them that he was in the scriptures, that he should die. And I think what put the icing on the cake comes from Isaiah. Did we find that one, Robert? Now, this is coming from the prophets. This is what the prophet wrote. It says this, but he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. With that terrible experience Jesus went through, we needed to be healed. He has to do the healing. Disciples were looking, that's the icing on the cake. They had to begin to understand now. And when that understanding came, their hearts was filled with sadness. They were sad. They believed in their heart now that Jesus had done everything that he came to do. They believed that Jesus would be leaving them soon. Their Lord, who they learned to adore. Who they came to the place that they didn't want to do without. Who they believed that was going to build an earthly kingdom here. He had all the qualities. He could heal the sick. He could feed the hungry. He could even raise the dead. A man like that can't lose, can he? Huh? And they believed in him. They trusted him. They thought he was going to build an earthly kingdom here. They brought Judas in. Judas was the greatest financial manager that they had ever heard. They figured that once the kingdom got gone, they needed a man like Judas. But there, it came to the point that they believed that Christ's work was truly finished on the cross and that he was leaving them. That's why he says they began to believe that, they believe more now in him leaving than when he went to the cross. Now they truly believe that Christ was leaving. And she said all of that came sooner. They all stopped. He said before you know it, Jesus had begun gathering his disciples, and he wanted to take them back to some memorable places. He wanted to take them back to some places that after he was gone, that they would never ever forget. And the reason I'm here today standing before you, you're the disciples of Christ. And I want to take you down that road. You want to go with me? This is the first place he took them. Was back to the Garden of Gethsemane. He wanted them to remember what had happened that night. He took them all to the garden. He got to the garden gate. He took Peter, James, and John along with him. Went a little further out of the garden. He said, I want you all to pray with me. He said, I got the weight of this world on my shoulders, and I need some prayer. And they said Jesus went a little bit farther and fell on his knees and cried out to the Father, if it be possible, dear Lord, by any means, remove this cup from me. So he prayed and agonized with the Father there. He says, not my will be done. Let your will be done. And he got up after about an hour and went back to his disciples. And guess what was happening? The Bible said that they was all asleep. standing today, I'm wondering too, are we praying with Jesus? Or are we sleeping? So Jesus went back a second time in the garden and told them, he woke them up and said, pray with me now, pray with me. He said, I need prayer. And he fell before the Father again, crying out in agony, saying, Father, if it be possible, not my will, but your will be done, remove this cup away from me. And the Father never answered. He prayed there and agonized, until he turned around and he went again to his disciples the second time. And there again was what? Sleeping, still sleeping. They said a third time he went, fell down before the Father crying. And said, be thy will, take this cup away from me. But the Father never answered. And he agonized, and he agonized. They say he agonized until the sweat that was coming off, it turned red. And it began to mix with blood. Have you ever agonized? I'm thinking, church, times are going to come for all of us. We hang in there. He got up and went back to his disciples the third time. They said his countenance had changed. And he almost had a smile on his face. God had sent him for victory. Told his disciples, sleep on us and take your rest. He was ready then to go to the cross. He gathered them up, church. We're talking about memorable places that Jesus was taking his disciples before he left this earth. They said the very next place he took them was back to that old upper room. So I don't know if you know what was happening up that night, but they say he went in and he seated himself. They all seated themselves around the table. And over there was a basin and water. They were supposed to wash each other's feet. Nobody moved. Jesus got up, went and got a pan, and began to wash all of their feet, their dirty feet in there. When he got around through the whole place, he came to Peter. Peter was ashamed of his Lord doing that kind of stuff. But this service was all about what? Humility. Jesus wanted his followers to be as humble as can be, to wash feet. That's humble. Peter cried out to him and said, Lord, I can't allow you to do this. This is below you. I can't allow you to do it. But Jesus turned his eyes up to him and says, if I don't do this, then you have no part with me. And that's when Peter said, Lord, don't just wash my feet, but wash me all over. We need to be washed all over by Jesus.
Good time to segment into communion next week.
Oh, yeah. Very well. After that, the final place that Jesus was taking his disciples, he wanted them to go back to Golgotha. He wanted them to recall what had happened there. As he drug that old cross up that hill, he just got almost there before he fell. Couldn't move it any further. There was a man, Simon Cyrene, they took the cross away from him and placed it and allowed him to carry it. Christ couldn't carry it no further. But Christ got up and walked on up to the top of that hill. When he got to the top of the hill, church, they said that old cross was laying there when all the thieves and everybody else was jumping and hollering and saying, no, don't do this to me, don't do this to me. So Christ went and laid himself down on the cross. Stayed there until they strapped him tight to that cross. Then they got out those spikes and began to drive them into each one of his hands. A pow, a pow, a pow. Then they went to his feet where they was crossed and began to drive spikes straight through his feet into that cross. And men got around that cross, lifted up high, and carried over to the hole that it was supposed to go in. And they just threw it up in the air and allowed it to fall to the bottom of that hole. And all you could hear was skin tearing and bones cracking as he got across at the bottom of that hole. They said even Christ, when he wasn't dying fast enough, a Roman soldier came by and stuck a spear into his side where Christ died. When I was reading and studying this whole thing, I was looking and I was saying, thank God that now this is just a memory. He was taking them through, allowing him, he wanted them to never forget this experience that they had. And I don't think he wants you to forget it either. So after that, he took his disciples and turned quickly and headed towards Mount Olive. He said, for some reason, the disciples know that, Christ taught his disciples from Mount Olive so many nights they spent there on the side of that mountain. But for some reason, she said, they knew that he wasn't going there to teach them, that something else was about to happen. Christ made his way all the way, not to the side of the mountain, all the way up to the very summit, she said, the top of it, and stood on the top of that mountain, turned back to his disciples. They had everything. He had equipped them with everything they needed to do. They needed to do the job now. And he turned to them, and he began to talk to them very softly. I want you to go back to that upper room where we was at. I want you to remain there until you remove all of the difference. He said, it's expedient that I go down. He said, if I don't go, the Holy Spirit won't come. The Spirit that will guide you into all. Don't try to remember the things that I told you. When the Spirit comes, it will bring to your remembrance everything that I've told you. And they stood there talking. Christ was telling them about, listen, if you're going to get the victory, you got to learn how to love one another. You got to learn how to pray for one another. That's what you need. And they said, while he was still talking, they looked into the air. There was a cloud that appeared. It was about the size of a man's hand. And that cloud came closer and closer and closer, and let itself down to Christ's feet. Right in front of their eyes, he stepped off on top of the cloud. Can you imagine? What an experience, huh? What if he was there? She said they was awed. They couldn't move. They was amazed. They'd never seen nothing like it in their entire life. They're saying that as that cloud moved away with Christ on it, there was two angels who stood by. There was in white apparel who cried out to them, saying, ye men of Galilee, why are you standing here gazing? That same Christ which is taken up from you, he's coming again in like manner. You need to be about your Father's business. You don't need to stand around here. Church, I'm telling you, this has been some 2,000 years ago. He's coming again soon. And we can feel it in the air. We know, everybody knows it. Even the world knows it's coming. And we've started getting ready. We started packing our bags. This world is not our home. We're going home. Huh? Doesn't that sound exciting? We're getting ready to go home. We need to tell our children, listen, don't do that. Don't do that. We're getting ready to go home. This world is not our home. So God has a place prepared for us. He said, if I go, I will come again and receive you to myself, that where I am, there ye may be also. So I go to prepare a place for you. In my house, there are many mansions. This is foolishness down here that you're holding on to. You need to hold on to my hand. Oh, praise God. There was another song. Robert, can you find it? There's another little tune, and I'm going to let you go. Get ready, saints. This is not our home. We got to get ready to go. Robert is looking again. It's green, Robert. You got it. Praise the Lord. Robert says he's got it. Ah, voila. Every day they pass me by, I can see it in their eyes. Empty people filled with care, headed who knows where. When they go through private pain, living fear to fear, laughter hides their silent cry. Only Jesus hears. People need the Lord. People need the Lord. At the end of broken dreams, He still bend over. People need the Lord. People need the Lord. When will we realize people need the Lord? We are called to take His light to a world where wrong seems right. What could be too great a cause for sharing life with one who's lost? Through His eyes, our hearts can feel all the grief they bear. They must hear the words of life. Only we can share. People need the Lord. People need the Lord. At the end of broken dreams, He's still And oh, people need the Lord. People need the Lord. When will we realize that we must give our lives, for people need the Lord. People need the Lord. People need the Lord.